Another Dragon Ball game? That must be over 9,000 now, surely.
He said it! He said it!
So, what do I love about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? Whenever I boot up anything that's related to Dragon Ball, it instantly makes me feel like I'm 8 years old again. I'm sitting in front of the TV on a Saturday morning watching Cartoon Network, eating a bowl of whatever the hell's in the cupboard at the time. And this is one of the things I really love about this game. It makes me feel like a child again. It kind of takes the stress away of being an adult, a job, responsibilities, money, all that sort of stuff, and it just makes you feel like you're 8 years old again. And obviously, who doesn't love Dragon Ball? Who doesn't love beating the absolute shit out of other people online? Or, in my case, getting beaten up online. I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Ball, however, I'm not the most casual fan of Dragon Ball. I'm just sort of somewhere in the middle. I've watched a lot of episodes, I watched Super, I watched Z, I didn't watch any GT, I tried to watch it, however, it wasn't my taste. I might go back and watch that eventually. However, I'm somewhere in the middle. So this video is just basically going to be a look at a sort of a fan, but not a major fan's look at the game and how I'm enjoying it, what I like about the game, what I don't like about the game, and if I recommend it to any people who are not the biggest fans of Dragon Ball, because let's be honest, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, you've already bought this, so why are you watching this video? Go play it. So it'd be rude to not mention some history behind Dragon Ball franchise. So it's been around since 1984, created by Akira Toriyama. I hope I pronounced that right. And basically since then, you can't look in any sort of anime direction without hearing about Dragon Ball. Since then, it's had over 700 episodes across different titles like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, not to mention the amount of movies they've made and the insane amount of games there is for this franchise. Oh my god, there is literally about 1 million games for this. Some good, some terrible, and some in between. Fast forward to today, and Dragon Ball is just not a staple of anime culture, but also a giant in the gaming world. From the classic Dragon Ball Z Budokai series to the more recent Dragon Ball FighterZ, the franchise has a multitude of games set into the hardcore fans and casual gamers alike. I didn't get to experience the Budokai series unfortunately when I was little, just because my friend group really wasn't into Dragon Ball at the time, so it just wasn't something that was floating about my radar. My friends were into sort of FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer at that time, and just the worst games ever. I can't even think about how bad they were. They were just, every game was the same, even still is the same. And you've got to pretend to like it as well, pretend you're actually enjoying playing these football games, and just the worst. Sorry if there's any football fans on the channel, but they're just not for me. My experience with the Dragon Ball games, apart from obviously the Budokai series, is quite good, considering I play majority of the recent titles. Dragon Ball Breakers, it's a fun game. It's like Dead by Daylight. It can be a bit crazy. Some people, it's quite a small community now, I think, so it's quite hard to get a game sometimes. However, it's getting updates still, I think. This is a bit where I'll pop a little note just to say if it's been updated. Bing! Next, you have Dragon Ball Kakarot, which is one of the most recent games I played. It's a single player game. Basically, you play Goku throughout the entire saga of his journey. Plays other characters too. It is classed as an open world game, however, it is quite limited in its scope in terms of open world. It's sort of open world areas where you have to select a new area to go to. So I wouldn't really class it as a proper open world game, but it's getting there. I think they should go back to this idea and really flesh out the open world and make it a proper open world without the loading screens. I think that would be really popular. It's just, this franchise has not really had a game like that properly yet, so I think it's definitely something to explore for Xenoverse 2 as well. I enjoyed that game back in the day. I've not played it for a little while now, it's quite old, however the game is still getting updates as we speak. So it must be making some insane money or doing something right to be still getting updates to this day, because the game is however old, and I'll pop that up on the screen right now. Anyway, back to the purpose of this actual video, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Sparking was first released in 2002 on the PlayStation 2. I didn't realise it until I started researching this. Sparking is actually the name for the Budokai series in Japan. Again, I know I'm probably some sort of novice right now and everyone's laughing at me. I didn't play this franchise before, so just cut me some slack, please. The Budokai series did something quite unique, where you have a fighting game that's 3D, it's not sort of 2D environment, where it's got 3D environments where you can roam around, destroy the environments and such. Players could experience fast-paced battles with familiar characters, combining powerful moves and energy blasts. And let's also not forget those epic transformations, because what's Dragon Ball without Goku going Super Saiyan for the 10 million time? Or over 9,000, sorry? Sorry, I couldn't help myself, it's just one of those things you have to say, don't you? When I was looking at my Budokai games in the series, it looks like there's 6. Researching this, it looks like 3 was re-released with some graphical tweaks. I don't know if this actually counts like a collector's edition, so let's have a look at this newest entry into the franchise and see how it holds up against all its predecessors. Is it good? Is it fun? Is it got a lot of content? Or is it just a big piece of shit? Let's find out. Spoiler warning, it's not a piece of shit. Released this year, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero brings back all your favourite fighters while introducing new gameplay mechanics that really amp up the action. The graphics are absolutely insane. Sometimes I look at this game and I'm like, oh my god, this game is the prettiest game I think I've ever seen. The style is just so good, it just looks amazing. However, I think Dragon Ball FighterZ does look slightly closer to the anime. However, obviously that's a 2D fighting game, so it's a lot easier to do. It's the fact that there's little subtle details when you're playing this game, when you're powering up and Goku's clothes are just sort of moving in the wind as he's powering up. It just, it looks so good. It's little details like this that really just make the game stand out in certain areas, especially during special attacks. Oh my god, those colours are just absolutely insane. If you have an OLED TV, this game looks insane during special moves. The effects are just absolutely ridiculous. I know I keep saying insane, but it is. Let's talk gameplay. Sparking Zero features a refined combat system that focuses on strategic play, allowing for combos that make you feel like a pro even if you're just mashing buttons like me. I don't really know what I'm doing. With special moves and the ability to power up mid-fight, each match feels really dynamic and unpredictable. It feels like you've got 10 different ways to win or 10 different ways to lose. In my opinion, it seems like one of these games that it's easy to play but hard to master. They make it quite easy to pull off special moves. Press one button and a combination of another button and then you can select the character's any one or two moves. And then if you charge up all the way, you use one of your skill points and then you'll reach this sort of heightened state of powerfulness and then you can pull off your ultimate finisher, which does a lot of damage. As well as doing a lot of damage, these ultimate moves look absolutely insane. They put obviously a lot of care and attention into these moves. It just looks so good. And also in certain arenas that when you do an ultimate move, it then transforms the arena, everyone runs away. Say if you're in your world tournament arena, if you do a move in there, all the audience will just run out and it'll leave the place absolutely empty, which is a pretty cool addition. It's these little things that they do in this game that really makes the game much more enjoyable, these little additions they add. It just makes the game feel more immersive, and I like that. With every fighting game, it's also a steep learning curve. However, this game has a very good tutorial system. I had a look at this tutorial system. It did overwhelm me right at the start because there was a lot of different options and my brain just can't handle that much information, especially with having a family, a young child. There's just too much going on after work, and it's just the last thing you want to do is sit and remember all these different combinations. You can access this tutorial at any time, so if you want to give it a break, jump on a different game and then come back and do it again, you can do that as well. For me, it did become quite overwhelming at the start. There were so many different combinations to do, there's so many different attacks, defenses, key blasts, dodging, follow-up moves. It is quite overwhelming, but as I said, you can always just come back to it. And as you play the game, you'll just naturally learn all these moves as well, so it's no big deal. Plus, the game is online, so if you have a friend who has the game, you can also jump into a match with them and just they can help you with that sort of stuff, which is always quite nice. Or they can just beat you to absolute shit and not help you at all. Let's talk about the character roster, because it is absolutely massive. 182 characters, with obviously more in the way with the season pass. While this is a lot of characters, and it is really nice to have this many characters in the game, a lot of the characters are just basically different versions of the same character, of sort of pre-transformations or transformed afterwards. I like this and I don't like this, just because saying you've got 182 characters when 10 of them are Goku, or 10 of them are Vegeta, it's not really 182 characters, is it? However, the good thing is, though, if you like a certain transformation from a certain arc, say if you want to play as Goku Super Saiyan 3, you can play as Goku Super Saiyan 3, which is nice. You can sort of pick that Goku that you like, or maybe there's one you don't like, so you can just avoid that. Or if you're a fan of GT, there's a lot of GT characters in this as well. Also, with the season pass on the way, it just means there's going to be more characters coming to this game of the roster of 182, so I just don't know how big this roster is going to be by the game's finally finished, but we'll see. When you're making a team as well, you get 5 slots, and having a roster of 182, it means there's a lot of variation. You can try different combinations of characters, see what works the best for you. However, it is going to take you a long time to even play all the characters. I don't even know how you're going to do that, to be honest. My recommendation is stick to 5 characters that you like. If you like them, continue to play as them if you've figured out how they work, how they do well. Or if you fancy a change, just pick 5 random characters and see how you go. They've also packed quite a lot of costumes into this for characters in the game, which is quite nice because a lot of fighting games obviously sell this as DLC, which is, to me, doesn't really seem very fair. You're paying like £10 for 8 costumes. It just seems a bit bullshit, doesn't it? The good thing about having such a massive roster, even not really obscure characters that you didn't even think were going to make it into this game, somehow made it into this game. And with being able to put together a 5-people team, I am going to make the Ginyu Force and go online and see what happens. Right, let's get to the meat. If you're playing offline, you're probably going to be fine. You're going to button bash your way to victory. You'll be fine. Online, geez, when you step through that curtain of going online, you're going to meet the sweatiest, most hardcore players you've ever imagined. Playing all the absolute broken characters, having the most broken team. But that's where the fun begins. Before I start really getting into the online, the first thing I'll say about it is it took me absolutely ages to get into a game. Every time I tried to join one, it either said the connection wasn't fast enough or the person wasn't there, the lobby had shut. It honestly took about 15-20 minutes just to even get the game going, which was frustrating. And then when you finally get in the game, they give you 45 seconds or something to select all 5 members of your team. So sometimes if you don't pick fast enough, you end up with just random members of your team that you have to pick on the sly. So I've played about 10 or so matches, 15 so matches online so far, and this is what I've figured out so far. You need to make sure it's got a good connection in the match, otherwise it's just going to be an absolute fucking nightmare from the get-go. It makes dodging harder, it makes attacking harder, it just makes everything 10 times more difficult than it has to be. But that's obviously a no-brainer. Good connection equals good fun, okay? When I was playing online, I either got spammed to hell with special moves, or everyone seems to have a strategy when they're playing, and it's quite easy to figure out what they're trying to do. You can sort of counteract that and figure out what they like to do, and you can sort of predict what they're going to do next. Or you're playing the sweatiest person ever, and you just get absolutely bodied online like me. It looks like you can also host little tournaments online, which is fun. You can also spectate other fights and wait your turn. It also has ranked matches as well, but that's obviously where all the absolute diehards are going. But maybe I'll get there eventually, but for now, I'm not going anywhere near that place. This game is obviously going to be online pretty much majority of the time if you're going to play this consistently. Because realistically, you're not going to play against the AI all the time. Anyway, on to the sort of story mode that they have. What can I say about this? It's quite bare bones, I would say. There's different characters you can play. Character episodes serve as the game's basic story, with players experience the story of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super through the eyes of a selected character. Naturally, since the characters only get a few fights, some of these stories can be quite short, which is not great. As well as being short, unfortunately, some of these cutscenes are done in sort of like a slideshow animation, so it just looks absolutely awful sometimes. However, sometimes they do fully go out and properly do it inside the game's engine. I just wish they'd done the entire thing in the game's engine rather than sort of cut corners, basically. What I will give them credit for is they do sort of what-if scenarios allowing you to divert off the canon storyline and creating unique new experiences related to that character and that arc. This is obviously a really fun addition to the game, given the different scenarios. What if this happened? What if that happened? It's fun. Yeah, and which we enjoy fun, don't we? And I know, this isn't a story game. This is a fighting game. What did I expect? But it would have been a bit better if this was a bit more fleshed out, a bit more time put into it. For what it's worth, it is enjoyable and it is a really good way to sort of get to grips with the game if you're just starting out and give you like a little boost to start slowly getting better at the game and see what's what. One thing I've not touched on is the sound design in the game, which is really impressive. They've got all the original voice actors back from the English dub and I think the Japanese version as well. The music's great, it's all just very atmospheric and it really is very impressive. I'm very happy with the sort of sound design in the game. And during battles as well, all the explosions sound amazing. All the music during the battles as well. It just looks really good, plays really good, and sounds really good. This is an orgasm for the ears. So anyway, I've took up enough of your time. So what's the verdict on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? Is it fun? Is it not fun? What do I think? I think it's pretty fun. Whether you're a hardcore fan or a casual gamer just like me, just looking for some fun, this game delivers in a really enjoyable experience. The blend of accessible gameplay, a rich character roster, and stunning visuals and sound design make it a worthy addition to any gaming library, in my opinion. Plus, it's a fantastic way to bond with your friends. Who doesn't want to beat the shit out of your friends online as Goku or Vegeta or Piccolo or even Krillin, I dare say. So this isn't really a review, it's more just me looking at the game from my perspective, and if I liked it, I enjoyed it, if I could recommend it, I wouldn't say it's a review, I'd just say it's my thoughts and opinion. From a fan who's sort of in the middle, I'm not a casual fan, but I'm not a hardcore fan. So thanks for joining me on this journey through Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video, it really does mean a lot, or subscribe if you fancy watching any more of our content in the future. So if you've watched it to the end of this video, I really do appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Stay students out.